Hi everyone, I'm Dave Giancola, joined again by Mike Trossel for another episode of The Road to Stardom. Justin Leonard's 1992 U.S. Amateur victory falls in an interesting place in the golf timeline, coming 2 years after Phil Mickelson's win in the U.S. Am and 2 years before Tiger Woods famously reeled off 3 in a row.
Dave, in that respect, it's easy for Leonard's career to get overshadowed, but he was a dominant amateur player as well, and never was that more apparent than in the 1992 U.S. Amateur at Muirfield Village, where he delivered his crowning amateur achievement, defeating Tom Shearer 8-7 to win the Havemeyer Trophy.
Let's take a look at it. Here is Justin Leonard's dominant showing in the 1992 U.S. Amateur Championship.
Now at 12, both players in the bunkers. Alan Doyle in the front and Justin here at the back left.
Justin Leonard has a little bit easier shot, I believe. He is just, he's got plenty of green with which to work. Just sort of needs to flop it up in the air, play it a little to the left of the hole, and it should run down there nicely. Alan Doyle has a much more difficult shot.
Alan Doyle has an unusual bunker technique.
Up at 10 now, Kelly Mitchum for par. So that's a bogey for Kelly Mitchum.
He was 4 down at this juncture this morning. Now, getting back to Alan Doyle, he takes a very, very abbreviated backswing, almost like he hits a little chip shot out of the bunkers. I've never seen any player do this. Look at that.
Well, I think, Steve, that it hurt him a little bit there. I think you needed to make a steeper, more lazy swing to get that ball up quickly to stop it. He had no green with which to play, and he hit that shot fairly low. I think it works well if you have plenty of green, but when you have to stop it quickly, it's a little difficult.
Here's a look at it again. Notice how short he takes it back. Got great hands. He almost brings the club back through on the inside. Very few players in the game are as skilled as he to play that type of shot. I like this man's golf game. It doesn't look good. It's not the kind of swing you're going to spend time on the practice tee trying to watch or emulate. You certainly don't want to teach your son to swing like this, but Alan Doyle has kind of done it his own way.
And at the moment is one up.
I doubt he has a sports psychologist or teacher. What do you think, Jack?
I wouldn't think so.
I don't think he has a traveling coach, Steve. But you're right. This is the beauty of golf. He has taken his game, his strengths, and he knows how to make those work. He's an accomplished player. And just because it doesn't look picture perfect all the time doesn't mean that a player's not a great golfer. A lot of people said the same thing of Trevino because his swing was unusual, and look at the career he had.
How'd you like to change Hubert Green's swing?
Gay Brewer.
Gay Brewer, Miller Barber, the list goes on and on.
I wish I could have changed Hubert's swing when I was playing against him.
It's kind of disconcerting. What I like best about Doyle's game is this putter, right? This club right here.
A little amazed at that. That's a bogey, and Frank Hannigan talked to Alan Doyle earlier.
Alan, don't take it personally, but your swing does not exactly flow. Tell us about that golf swing.
Well, that's a question that everybody asked, and I'm not sure I have the answer. The only thing that I can somewhat trace it to, I was a hockey player in my youth, and I can remember being chomping at the bit in the winter up. I was born and raised in Massachusetts, and in the winter wanting to get out and play golf, and we couldn't, and I'd go down cellar and kind of half swing it in a low ceiling cellar, and then it seemed that a slap shot was similar to that swing, so it just developed.
That's it. That low ceiling will do it all the time, won't it? Huh?
Alan told me, Jack, yesterday that he had an entire golf season snowed out on him
Yeah.
here in high school.
That's marvelous. Leonard for a win. Yes. Match is even.
Great 3, Jack, and I can promise you, Alan Doyle can't hit the ceiling with his golf swing.
So, Leonard and Doyle are even. Shearer's 4 up on Kelly Mitchum through 10. That's how it stands at the moment, and we'll be back with more semifinal action from the 92nd Amateur Championship in just a moment. Back at the 11th hole, the par 5, second shot for Tom Shearer.
Tommy took other than a driver off the tee, and he just knocked it right down the fairway. Perfect.
That's the shot he has left. Now Kelly Mitchum.
Kelly's so, he'd love to have a go at this and knock it on the green, and get a hole back, but I think it's just too far, and he's got an iron out.
Situation like this, Mitchum wants to lay up into the strength of his wedge play, whether it's a good 80-yard wedge player or a 100-yard wedge player. This is traditionally a very wet fairway, Jack, like shooting darts into the second landing area.
Well, the United States Golf Association is encouraging donations to aid victims of Hurricane Andrew. You can support that effort by calling the American Red Cross at 1-800-842-2200. 1-800-842-2200. So Kelly Mitchum now 4 down, and a little earlier Frank Hannigan had a chance to talk with him.
I see and been told that you're a very good student. What's your major?
My major is statistics. I kind of like math. I'm not a very good English or history kind of a person, so I went the statistics route.
That's very unusual for a golfer. Do the other golfers think you're a little strange?
I hope not. I don't know. Maybe so. But I'm much more mathematically oriented, so it'd be much easier that way than something else, probably.
Well, Kelly can keep a scorecard anyway. That smile erased a little bit now. It's been tough going on the first 9 and the 10th and 11th holes for this young man.
As we said earlier, he was down in his morning match, Jack, actually 4 down through 12 holes this morning. On the other hand, Tom Shearer had much the easier route. Shearer birdied the 4th, eagle the 5th, par the 6th to go 4 up in his match this morning against John Harrison. Ended up winning 4 and 3.
You sense any mood change out there, Frank Hannigan?
Well, Tommy Shearer walked up on this 11th tee with a big bounce in his step, Jack, because he made a big mistake off the tee on 10. Looked like he might lose it. Instead, he won the hole. So if there's been any mood change, it's one of depression for young Kelly Mitchum.
Third shot's here at 11.
Shearer's in good shape. 115 yards from the hole.
An elevated green, 533 yards from the tee. And Tommy will go first.
Not only is he built a little bit like Rocco Mediate, but he swings a lot like him. Has a big wide arc, kind of moves off the ball into his right side.
Seemed to take an extra amount of time on this shot to compose himself.
Aimed way right.
Well, just about where they were before, the match number 1. We've seen that putt before.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly Mitchell.
I think that statistic tells the story. You only hit 5 out of 10 greens. You're not putting any pressure on your opponent. Tom Shearer, while he's played well, has not had to play fashionably well like the play in the match 1, Jack, the Leonard Doyle match.
Kelly's 110 yards.
Pull up 30 yards, then it would translate into playing easier. But not when you've got your tees 5 yards up per hole. It's the same golf.
Seems like a friendly Sunday afternoon match.
With a lot on the line.
Back to the 11th.
Way right.
And
Not what he
again,
needed. Not what he needed at this point. Nope.
Once again, he's away. Aha.
Is that a buzzard circling Mitchum a little early, maybe?
Alan Doyle at 13.
Well, again, he has split the center of the fairway. Has 165 yards or so to the hole. Playing downhill, downwind. And I think I don't think he can go at the flag. The flag's right on the front of the green. I think he needs to play the ball a little to the right with a draw, and he can still get close to the flag. Easy 7 or maybe an 8-iron. And that's the way he played it. Now, that is the way to play a golf shot. You play the ball with a draw, use the slope to the right, he's 10 feet from the hole.
How can you hit a draw from an open stance? That's, huh?
Well, he's aiming about 20 yards left of the flagstick, and I'm being generous there. Takes it back inside, reroutes it, swings it out probably 20 yards right of the flagstick. So his body line going one way, the club line going another.
Well, Trevino can do that too when he wants to.
It takes a lot of talent and great hands.
Now Justin.
150 yards, no more than a 9-iron downwind. I do not believe he can stop the ball going straight at the flag. He has also played to the right. 2 well-played golf shots. That's the way to play under those conditions.
Super match, this. Huh?
Well, this is, I guess, in direct contradiction to what you just saw. Justin Leonard setting up squarely. Everything good here. Aiming to the right. Ball started where he was aiming. Both balls got to where they wanted to, but in entirely different fashions.
Now back at 11, and Kelly Mitchum with his long putt.
Oh, a downhiller, Jack, 20 to 25 feet. 4 down in the match. He needs a birdie.
And Frank, he's virtually made no birdies, has he? Has he made a birdie today?
I joined them on the second, third hole. I believe he birdied the first hole, Steve.
When you only hit 5 of 10 greens and not making any birdies, you're not putting any pressure on your opponent. Frank, you are correct. He did birdie the first hole, which he won from Shearer, and after that he's been pitching a shutout. Kelly's got to start this ball well to the right. pace more concern than direction here. Putting across the slope from right to left.
And his par is conceded. Sure, now for birdie. That would make him 5 up. Same putt that Alan Doyle and Leonard had. Same line.
Once again, very difficult to read. It actually drifts right, then comes back to the left.
Well, what happens now? Now
You
at
keep
13,
playing.
Justin Leonard.
Downhill, 12 to 15 feet. Probably needs to keep this ball inside the left edge.
Yes! Did he ever, huh?
Well, whatever he did it right. I don't know if that's where he putted it, but it was a great putt, great 3.
Now back to 11. Sure, here's the par for a half.
It seems to me that Tommy Shearer has gotten very deliberate in the last couple of holes. Although, you know, he's got a big lead. It's from North Carolina. He's trying to go into a 4 corners offense.
Is there a 45-second clock here, David Eager?
Not turned on quite yet, Steve. They'll have to be a time before the 45-second clock appears.
Well, after all, we are down to the final 4, aren't we?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Yep, and there it was, his first mistake. Mr. Downs suddenly remembers he was 4 down this morning and 1 now. He's 3 down here.
Doyle for a half. Oh, my.
That's a heartbreaking putt. Hit a beautiful putt there.
All right, things changing here a little bit in both matches in the semifinals of the United States Amateur Championship, and we'll be back right after this. Nicky Getz is a promising college golfer from Georgia who may have quite a future in the game. He made it to match play this week, but lost in the first round. And right behind him this week, serving as his caddy, was the dream girl of amateur golf, his sister Vicky Getz, who earlier this month won the U.S. Women's Amateur for the 2nd time. So much for sibling rivalries. And now live, Thomas Shearer.
I think that's just where he'd like to put it, too. Very nice, very safe.
Still has a nice cushion, 3 up. Now a moment ago at the short, lovely par 4 14th, Justin Leonard.
A solid looking swing. Beautiful long iron.
Pin way in the back today.
Jack, the 14th, one of the most dangerous short holes in maybe all of golf. A layup off the tee, creek down the left-hand side. And then the second shot, just a short iron or even a wedge. This very narrow, long, obliquely set green with bunkers left and back left and left. And that creek to the right comes into play today with a pin in the back portion of the green.
Now Alan Doyle.
down the right-hand side.
Here's the shot he has. Not much depth to that green.
That's a
coming in
menacing
from that
looking
angle.
shot.
Now we're live in the fairway.
Well, this hole today is downwind, flag stick all the way in the back corner. Player will definitely have to negotiate the water to get close to this flag. No chance of playing at the hole from the right-hand side of the fairway without going over most of the hazard.
In Allen's match this morning against George Zeringer, Allen was 1 down through front side, lost the 10th to go 2 down, and both players halved this 14th hole this morning with double bogey 6s.
Well, he has a difficult shot here, Steve. He has about 145 yards, maybe a little more, to the flagstick. I think going downwind, he should play the ball to the left and just take it there, because I do not believe that he can fly the ball directly at the hole and stop it anywhere near the flag.
Very daunting shot, isn't it?
Must pick the right club, Jack, if you go with the flagstick.
Again, something I said yesterday, I think it's a safer shot from the right-hand side of the fairway. Don't put it in the water as often from that side.
Bunker.
Almost. That's not far off. That's only about 15, 16 feet offline. That's the exacting nature of the second shot you're required to play here.
Justin Leonard has obviously a great opportunity here. He's only 130 yards, and from his position, he's more in the center of the fairway. He can get a little closer to the hole, playing to the left of it, but from this position, if you push the ball a little bit and you're the least bit short, it'll bounce into the water every time. That's why I say it's a safer shot from the right-hand side. It may be a little more difficult to get the ball close, but coming at the green from the center or the left center, the balls to the right go in the hazard more easily.
Ed, is the fact that he can work the ball left to right help him here?
I think it's a definite help, Steve. I don't know how much he really wants to try to cut this ball. I think if he can aim a little left, though, knowing that maybe it won't go to the left, I think that's the advantage of being able to cut the ball in a situation like this. I would guess just a firm pitching wedge. And I think that's exactly what he did. I think he took a wedge, aimed it right where he hit the ball, and if it cuts, fine, and if it doesn't, he's on the green.
Now back at 12, Thomas Shearer.
Once again trying to two-putt.
And they have it with pars. Just a moment ago, here was Kelly Mitchum's attempt for birdie.
With the accent on attempt and no conversion.
So that match remains Shearer 3 up as they move to the next hole.
These matches, Jack, have really turned out about like I thought they might. I knew that Leonard Doyle would probably scrap to the last hole. Shearer has really had the easier time of it. He's won his matches 2-1, 3-2, and 4-3. So he's never really been pushed thus far. Kelly Mitchum has not played well today.
All right, we'll be back to see more of these semifinal matches at the 92nd United States Amateur Championship in just a moment. Now at this lovely 14th hole at Muirfield, Justin Leonard.
He is in a position here. I think he wins this hole for sure if he two-putts. His opponent is in a very difficult position, and I don't think that he can make a 4 unless he holds a long putt or a chip. I think he may not even be able to get his bunker shot on the green.
Steady, steady. Well, Justin's not in yet.
difficult hole. This is what makes this hole so difficult. When you do play away from the water, respecting the water, it's very, very tough.
Now, from the bunker with the green going away from him, isn't it?
He does not have a good lie. He doesn't have a good stance. His ball is a little bit on a downslope, and especially with his style of play out of the bunker that Steve was pointing out on number 12, unless he changes something here, he has no chance. I don't think he can play at the hole and keep it on the green unless he would hit the flagstick. If he does, it'll be a remarkable shot.
It's that abbreviated style we talked about. I just don't think it's conducive, Ed, for that type shot.
No, Steve, I think, and on 12, he had a similar situation. He had a flat lie, but he was back in the bunker and had to stop it quickly. I think in that situation, you have to take the club up very abruptly and sort of have a steep swing to make the ball come out softly. Now, you see, even from there, where he had a flatter lie and less bunker to carry over, he couldn't stop it by the hole. I think he might have even hit the ball in the water coming out from the other position.
Remember, he made 6 here this morning. Let's take a look at that first bunker shot again. Very, very short. Tried to deaccelerate going through. Just tried to get it on that, maybe not even the first cut of rough, but into the heavy cut. Hope it kind of stumbles its way onto the green.
In defense of the shot, I think it's almost the shot you have to play, because if he clears the bunker and lands on the green with any pace at all, it's going to go right in the water. So at least he played the shot that he had to play, one that was either barely going to get out or leave himself an easier bunker shot. Remember now, if he makes 5, he could still have this hole. Justin Leonard is not in, has a little work left.
Ed, isn't this a putt, Doyle's putt that is, it has a tendency to be misread to the right?
Steve, in the years I played here, I misread it every way you could conceive. I think you're right.
Oh, well, not here.
He didn't misread that one. He put it right in and put the pressure right back on this young man. That's a game 5, though. I don't think after his second shot, I don't see how he could have done any better than 5, and that's the score he made.
Well, Mr. Leonard, the number 2 ranked amateur in the country coming into this tournament, could take what in this match could be a commanding 2-hole edge with 4 holes to play should he hold this.
After his opponent hit it in the bunker, he certainly played the second shot that he had to play. I guess he must have misread the first putt badly, because you wouldn't have expected him to leave it this distance. But he did what he had to do, and he should make this putt to win the hole, but he has to make it. Has to keep his head and he's cool and stroke this one in. This is what it's all about.
Quite a half.
Well, once again, Alan, second time today gets out of 14 with a half.
Yes, he does. An ugly half, but a half nevertheless.
Steve, I don't think he would call that an ugly half. I'm sure he's very, very happy right now.
So Leonard remains 1 up as they go to the par 5 15th. We go back to 13 and Thomas Scherer's second shot.
He's in the fairway, downwind, downhill, 155 yards to a very slick green. I'm sure he'll want to play it to the right of the hole.
About 2 feet from being perfect.
Oof.
Kelly Mitchum.
From the left side of the fairway, 5 yards closer, 150 yards. He needs to go right at it.
He's fought a tendency all day to hang back on it, hold on to the club, and leave the ball out to the right. Well done here.
And high, yes. 15th tee, Justin Leonard.
Par 5 today, playing against the wind, fairly strong at the moment. Just anywhere in the fairway will be good. I don't think either player can come close to this green right now. Started the ball up low on the left-hand side.
And off the fairway into the first cut. Well, I don't know.
Pretty good break though,
Yeah.
Jack. It didn't go far enough left. He'll be able to lay the ball up easily from there. A little further left and he would have been facing a lot of trouble.
And that's the game today anyway, to lay it up, isn't it?
I just don't think there are very many players that could reach this hole at all today, even very long hitters.
And particularly with Doyle driving with a brassy.
Kind of popped it up, I think. He's very short, but again, I don't think it's going to make any difference. It's just a little longer club to lay the ball up in position.
Hey, Leonard one up in this match. All right, the 14th, that novelly short par 4, Thomas Shearer, 3 up.
With an iron off the tee, just trying to get it in play.
It's 3 up with 5 holes to go. Now, before Tom hit, here was Kelly Mitchum.
Looking left.
Oh,
Looking
oh,
left.
oh, oh, oh.
Wrong swing at the wrong time here, Jack.
That will be very costly to young Mitchum. In match number 1, Justin Leonard, who has one up over Alan Doyle, second shot at the par 5. Or is this the third shot at the par 5? Okay.
He has blocked himself a little bit with the trees and just probably is just going to punch the ball out to the left side of the green, let it roll down to the right off the slope.
A little
Hit it
strong.
yeah, much too far.
Justin at this point one up over Alan Doyle. Now Alan, where is he, Edgar? Right in the...
He is in the center of the fairway, but he is right in the middle of a divot. It's been filled with sand, but I'm not sure that doesn't make this shot a little bit harder. It's not sitting well. It's kind of a bad break. I mean, he laid the ball up perfectly. I'd almost rather have it down in the divot without the sand in there.
Because the tendency, obviously, Ed, is to catch it fat, and no telling what could happen here.
Exactly. It's not as though it's in a sand bunker. It's kind of soft, and the sand is not firm around the ball. He did very well with it, it looks to me, though. He got the ball out of there nicely, right up in the center of the green. I think that's a great golf shot.
Just about pin high. He's there in 3. His opponent over the green a little bit in rough with a downhiller. And let's look at the leaderboard. Match 1, Leonard one up over Alan Doyle at the 15th. And match 2, Thomas Shearer 3 up over Kelly Mitchum. ESPN's coverage of the 1992 United States Men's Amateur Championship will continue tomorrow, August 31st, when we bring you the final 36. Now, we'll tell you that we'll be back here during the Molson Indy car race from Vancouver with multiple reports on how these semifinal matches have turned out. So for Frank Hannigan and Ed Sneed, Steve Melnick, David Eager, this is Jack Whitaker. Thank you for being with us today at Muirfield Village Golf Course in Dublin, Ohio. And we'll see you tomorrow for the United States Amateur title.
Good morning, Columbus. This is Lisa Axe at 101. Beautiful Monday morning as the sun gets ready to peek out over the horizon here. Nearly 7 o'clock, and Justin Leonard and Thomas Shearer getting ready to get up and head out to Muirfield today. They're the 2 finalists in the U.S. Amateur, and we wish them both great luck today out at Muirfield.
Yep. In the young lives of Justin Leonard and Tommy Shearer, this morning's wake-up was the most special probably since they got out of bed for their first day at school. It took a moment for them to realize that they had outlasted over 5,000 amateur golfers and were about to play 36 holes for the Amateur Championship of the United States.
Yep, I've been eating the same thing every morning, so hopefully it'll work again. Got my lucky ball mark, a shamrock, kind of appropriate, playing in Dublin.
Yep.
Morning, Justin. Really? Yeah, he just pulled off.
Good morning and welcome to the 1992 United States Amateur Championship, conducted by the United States Golf Association and hosted by Muirfield Village Golf Club. This morning's match is between Mr. Justin Leonard of Dallas, Texas, and Mr. Thomas Shearer of Skaneateles, New York. Mr. Leonard has the honor. Play away, please.
Play well. You too.
Mr. Shearer.
And the championship round was underway with both players in the fairway. ESPN, the Total Sports Network, and the United States Golf Association invite you to the playing of the 92nd United States Amateur Golf Championship. The skyline of Columbus, Ohio rises about 12 miles southeast of Dublin, Ohio, one of the many quiet suburban villages of this state capital, and the town where Jack Nicklaus built the Muirfield Village Golf Club, host of the Memorial Tournament every spring. This past week, it has been the site of the United States Amateur Championship. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jack Whitaker, and welcome to the 36-hole final of the United States Amateur Championship, which for the first time in 92 years is being played on Monday. We got rained out here a little earlier in the tournament, but everything is on schedule now, and our final 2 out of over 5,000 qualifiers are ready to go. And Steve Melnick, how do you assess Mr. Justin Leonard and Mr. Tom Shearer?
Jack, I think we're going to have a great final today. I think you've got two young players, two collegians with entirely different styles of play. Tom Shearer is the longer of the two players. Length could be his advantage if he can reach the par 5s and 2. He's not putted well this week, and I think it's going to give him a real fit today in this final 36-hole match. Justin Leonard has played superb golf. We may see the second coming of maybe a new Ben Crenshaw on the scene. He's been relentless in the pressure that he's put on his opponents all week. He'll continue to put the ball in play. He's a good iron player, and more importantly, he can putt.
All right, let's take a look at the highlights in the morning round, Steve. This was at the second hole after they have the first one.
Long, difficult par 4, 445 yards, water to the right.
Magnificent iron shot by Justin Leonard. So with his opponent in with par, he had this for birdie. And was one up.
Puts the pressure on early, Jack.
Now the second shot at the par 5 fifth, and Shearer's going for the green.
As we said earlier, he has the length to reach this par 5 and 2.
But he misses the green, and it settles deep in that rough on the hillside. Not a very good place to be. Third shot.
Very little green to work with from a very matted down lie.
Beautifully judged there in terms of distance, but he couldn't hold it out of that rough and into the bunker. Now here he is for par. Justin Leonard already had scored par and a bogey, and Shearer was 2 down. Now at the par 4 sixth, second shot.
Flagstick in the back left, the toughest spot on the green. And Leonard makes one of the few mistakes he has made all week long.
Now he has this very long shot for a bogey.
This could take a while.
And it did take a while. So conceded, and he was now 1 up. Here's his shot at the par 5 seventh. Third shot.
He holed from this distance yesterday for an eagle 3.
And he puts up another elegant looking shot. Picking up his own divot. Now with Shearer in at par, Leonard had this putt for a birdie to go 2 up. Just like that.
Quickly bounces back from the double bogey. Kind of right a listing ship here.
Now at the 11th hole, the par 5, this was Shearer's 4th shot.
Try to get awfully cute from behind the green.
And he misses it. Down the hill it goes. This one goes into the bunker, and he concedes the hole and is now 3 down. Justin Leonard now, second shot at the short par 4 14th.
Calls for a very exacting iron shot.
Tom Shearer already up in a nice position. Now watch this. Steady. Steady. Oof.
Only that long rough, Jack, kept that ball from going down into the water.
So the third shot now for Justin Leonard at 14 with Shearer up with a realistic birdie attempt. Didn't phase Mr. Leonard.
He had already chipped in for par earlier in the round.
So now Shearer, looking for a win there, needs to get this birdie to have. And he does. It remains 3 down. Now at 17. Second shot for Leonard at the par 4.
He closed out Alan Doyle with a great iron shot here yesterday.
And the two of them up there very nicely. Shearer made par, and so Leonard had this putt. for a birdie.
Absolutely gorgeous stroke. Would have gone to thimble, Jack.
Indeed. Beautiful stroke is right, Steve, and he is 4 up. Now at the 18th, his second shot. And once again, his iron shot is absolutely impeccable, and his local knowledge isn't bad either, is it?
He's not playing like a 20-year-old.
My, oh my. Once again, Shearer made a very nice par, but here is Leonard. A chance for a birdie. And he goes 5 up, birding 17 and 18. And right after the morning round, Edgar Sneed had a talk with these gentlemen.
Justin, you're the man with the hot hand in the morning round. Tell us a little bit about that score and what you're doing to play so well.
Well, it's the ball's finding the hole. I've made a few, good-sized putts, and I've chipped in a couple times from just off the green, and I've been pretty fortunate.
Well, you've played awfully well this week. Now, with a 5-up lead, how are you approaching the afternoon round? Any changes, or are you any difference in strategy?
I'm just going to try to keep doing what I'm doing, and that's, pretty much going at the hole, but playing safe when I need to, and hopefully the putts will keep falling.
Well, you're playing awfully well. Thomas, you've watched a few putts go in and a couple of chip shots. What are you going to do between rounds and in preparation for the afternoon round?
Just hit a few balls and just, try and play a little better, see if I can do what I was doing in the beginning of the week. So.
Will you change your strategy? I mean, do you become more aggressive in this position?
Maybe. It depends on the start. What happens these first few holes, anything could happen. Obviously, if I lose the first few, I might have to be a little more aggressive, but you never know. It's 18 more to go.
Well, we wish you both the best of luck for a good match this afternoon. Now let's go back to Jack Whitaker.
All right, Edgar, the afternoon round started at 2 o'clock, and here on the first hole, Shearer has this for par.
Jackie bunkered his tee shot and struggled all the way and made 5 at the first.
And goes 6 down. Then at the second hole, this was Leonard for birdie.
He birdied this hole this morning.
And now it's 7 up as Leonard. Now we are live at the 6th green. Shearer birdied the 5th hole, and Leonard now is 6 up. Not in yet,
Pace of the greens begin to quicken a little bit.
All right, let's find out as we're live now. Ed, what's the mood out there?
Well, Jack, so far, this is obviously a day that Justin Leonard can do no wrong, so to speak, at least to this point. He is a man controlling his own destiny. Looks like he wants to win this event. But to Thomas Shearer's credit, he is not hanging his head. He is continuing to play golf. He made a birdie at 5, and with a couple of breaks, he could get back into this golf match.
Okay. Tom Shearer now facing this putt for par.
One of the few holes at the previous hole, the par 5 with birdie. Now trying to salvage a half with this difficult putt for par. Now he has a new caddy today. His dad, George, who had caddied for him throughout the tournament. I think the 36 holes from yesterday and what was going to be 36 today was too much for him, so he has a new caddy for the afternoon match. It threw the break. Well,
a little raker.
I think he conceded the hole.
Yeah, he conceded the hole, so he goes back to 7 down now. My goodness. So we'll be back here for the rest of this final match for the 92nd United States Amateur Championship between Leonard and Shearer in just a moment. We're back, and a moment ago here on the 7th tee, par 5.
I think the reason this young man has dominated this week is because of the club there. This is one of the rare fairway misses through 7 rounds of golf, counting the 2 rounds of medal and the actually 8 rounds of golf. In 6 matches, he's only missed 7 fairways. 7th hole, dogleg left, par 5, 544 yards. Justin Leonard put the ball in the bunker there at the corner of the dogleg. It's a layup with a second shot to a fairway that ends abruptly. Usually a short pitch with a third to a sloping green.
Now Tom Shearer a moment ago from the tee. Opponent already in the bunker.
He actually took it over that bunker that Justin Leonard's tee shot found. That's a big tee shot. Big tee shot. He's got a chance to reach this green in 2. Let's take a look at how Mr. Shearer got here. He qualified with a medal score of 145 on Tuesday and Wednesday. Then really had a fairly easy time. He went to the 17th hole where he closed out his first match over Earl 2-1. And then on Saturday, won his match against Gallagher 3-2. And Scooter, the Pub Links champion, went down 6-5. Sunday, he defeated Robert Harris 4-3, and then in a neat match beat Kelly Mitchum 3-2. So he actually played the 18th hole this morning for the first time in match play.
Just like to remind you right now that due to today's special presentation of the 92nd U.S. Men's Amateur Championship, NFL Yearbook, which was originally scheduled for 3 p.m. Eastern Time, can be seen immediately following our golf coverage at 5 p.m. Eastern Time.
Justin Leonard has, as we said earlier, really driven the ball well through 8 rounds. That's 2 rounds of medal, 6 rounds of match. He had only missed 7 fairways until his tee shot here at the 7th hole. That's an incredibly high percentage. Edgar, what about this lie?
He has a very good lie, Steve, but the face of this bunker is so steep that he's going to be forced to play some sort of a short iron, probably about a 9 iron at the most. He might take a little more club if he wants to gamble. He's going to certainly have a long or medium iron to this green. Talking about his driving, it's really even the fairways he's missed. This is the first real mistake I've seen him make off the tee. This is a penalty bunker, definitely. He drove in the right-hand bunkers yesterday and made that 3. He has played out nicely, but it was a very lofted club, a 9 or maybe even a pitching wedge. Tom Shearer has hit a tremendous drive here. It's the longest drive I've seen on the hole in any of the matches that I've followed. I think he has a chance to get home in 2. It's going to be a difficult shot for him to carry over the bunker and stop the ball on the green, but he definitely can get to the green with a good shot. Absolutely needs to win this hole, and probably, well, he certainly needs to win 7 of them if he's going to have a chance. You know, he really hasn't played badly today. In a grueling tournament like this where you're playing 36 holes 3 days in a row, the players have to be somewhat tired even at their age, and Justin Leonard has just played outstanding golf. He has taken a fairway metal wood of looks to be a 3 wood. I would say he is 245 from the front, approximately. Flag is only 11 on. Very solid looking shot, hit toward the right side.
Boy, now he's faced with a long, long bunker shot.
One thing about it, though, the sand here at Muirfield is usually very firm, and with the firm sand, he has plenty of green with which to work. I think he can play the bunker shot to the hole.
Justin Leonard now measuring off for his third shot, and Frank Hannigan had a chance to talk with him earlier.
Justin, tell us about that distinctive little pre-shot routine that you go through.
Well, some of my teammates have named it a balk. I got into taking the club inside when I was in high school, and that helped me in getting it back on plane, and I took it from the driving range to the golf course, and then I've just stuck with it ever since.
I think it's important that not only that he has that pre-shot routine that he talked about that sort of sets his backswing, but that he has a routine at all, Jack. So many of these kids step up there with no thought at all. Sometimes they take 2 waggles, sometimes 1, sometimes none. He does the same thing every time.
Every time.
And the same is true over his putts.
You know, Steve, even though he does have this pre-shot routine that seems to take a fair amount of time after he gets over the ball, he's usually prepared well in advance to play, so he doesn't appear to me at all to be a slow player at all. He plays very quickly.
I think preparation is a key to fast play, and I think you're absolutely correct.
.190 yards to the hole. Probably a 4-iron. Playing it just the way he should, out toward the opening of the green. It's on the green, about 35 feet away, and again, this throws the pressure back to his opponent.
Here he was yesterday for his third shot at this hole.
This was his great match with the Walker Cup veteran Alan Doyle.
Justin Leonard now and 7 up in this match on the green safely, and we'll be back for the rest of it in a moment. George Zaringer, who lives in the posh town of Greenwich, Connecticut, mixes golf and business. Zaringer has been the New York metropolitan area's leading amateur for many years. He's a Wall Street broker. After a round here, Zaringer called the office.
How's the auction going? Okay. Are we bidding? Okay.
A moment ago, Tom Shear's third shot from the bunker. Third shot on the hole, not from the bunker. This par 5, and he's got a long putt for birdie. Almost as long as, or maybe longer, than his opponent. Now we're live, and I guess Justin is away.
We had a great spectator in the midst this morning we need to draw attention to. Tom Kite came down here after playing at the World Series of Golf, perhaps more to watch fellow Texan Justin Leonard, but to watch the match in general. Walked 18 holes this morning, Jack, with his caddy Michael Carrick. Kite never won the amateur. He was second to Lanny Watkins in 1970 at Waverly out in Portland, Oregon. The all-time leading money winner in golf. It says a lot about Tom Kite.
Yes, it does. Indeed, it does.
I would liken this young man's style to that of Tom Kite. Very steady, down the middle, very much in control of his game and his emotions.
That is a 32-inch putter Mr. Leonard's using.
Steady, steady. I think, Edward, are we right in assuming or saying that these greens are speeding up?
Definitely, Jack. The greens I talked with Mike McBride this morning, and they are holding the greens at 11, but the very fact that we've had dry weather and a little breeze has sped them up significantly, I think.
Well, the better players like faster greens, don't they? They'll adjust.
Tom Shearer, though, may not, in that, not that he's not a good putter, Jack, but I'm not sure he can handle very fast greens. It's unusual that these players find putting surfaces this fast on a regular basis for their amateur circuit.
Well, there's not much bent in Texas, is there? Huh?
No. This young man played his golf down in Chapel Hill from Skinny Atlas, New York.
See, he took a page out of his opponent's putt, and he leaves it a little short, but he doesn't believe it.
One thing that Leonard and Kite do have in common is their link to the University of Texas. Justin's mom and dad are here today, his college coach, his instructor, back out here from Royal Oaks Country Club in Dallas. Even after playing all the golf, Jack, that they played this week, both players went to the practice tee before this afternoon match and hit, I almost like 25, 30 balls apiece. Oh, to be young, huh?
And in the finals of the amateur. Oh, good par putt. And once again, it goes over into Shearer.
In the opening match this morning, Leonard posted a round of 69, which included a double bogey at the 6th hole. Shearer with a 3-over par round of 75. And with that, Leonard was 5 up after his morning 18.
Shearer now for par, for a half. Okay, Thomas. Now we move over to the par 3 8th hole. There's Justin's father with the stick, walking stick, and the camera. Here's the 8th hole, Steve.
Beautiful par 3 carved out of trees, Jack. Green elevated, almost a tabletop green with deep bunkers right and left.
Very deep green. And the pin kind of back middle.
Beautiful day for golf for this amateur final. We were delayed for a day. As you said, is this the first finals ever?
On Monday.
On Monday.
Ever since they started the whole rigmarole up in Newport, Rhode Island.
We'll be there in a few years.
Well, 95.
95.
Hardly a man is now alive. All right, Tommy Shearer now, 7 down.
Shearer said something to me on the practice tee. That's Tom Meeks. Also with this group is Reg Murphy. Meeks is Director of Rules and Competitions for the USGA. Reg Murphy, Vice President of the USGA and Head of the Championship Committee, I believe. Going back to the Shearer story, he says, you know, if he didn't get to playing better, he says, you know, there'd be a lot of folks watching soap operas this afternoon instead of golf.
Well, it's quite a feat to get to the finals. It's quite a feat to get to the semifinals, isn't it?
More importantly, both of these two players will be invited as amateurs to the Masters next year. There are 5 amateur invitations. The 2 finalists in U.S. Amateur, the Pub Links champion, the Mid-Amateur champion, and the British Amateur champion. All receive invites to Augusta National. interesting to watch with this swing. Here's a player who squares the club face up, not with his hands, but with his body.
...183 yards today.
The right club.
Yeah, it's just a perfect shot. You know, in the first 8 holes today, it hasn't been outside 15 feet or so except for 2 holes. Hasn't missed a green. This shot, I think, a little more difficult for Thomas Shearer in that he doesn't seem to cut the ball as easily as Justin Leonard. And the flag being to the right of center, I think he has to go straight at it to hit it close. And going straight at it, you have to carry the corner of the bunker and a little ridge in the green. Much easier to play this shot if you can make the ball fade.
Oh.
That's what he did. He took it right over the corner of the bunker. Great golf shot.
All right, 92nd United States Amateur Championship final match between Leonard and Shearer. We'll be back in a moment. ESPN's coverage of college football debuts on Thursday, September 3rd at 7:45 Eastern Time with the weekend kickoff show. At 8 p.m., it's the Oklahoma Sooners, led by quarterback Cale Gundy, taking on the rivals from Texas Tech. It all begins here on ESPN Thursday, September 3rd. Beautiful tee shot here at the 8th hole by Thomas Shearer, who's 7 down. And let's show you how everybody got here where they are today, and some are not. 5,727 entries across this great country of ours. 312 qualified to come here to Muirfield. On Tuesday and Wednesday, the 312 played a 36-hole match at stroke play, and 64 of those top players got into match. Thursday, match play began the round of 64, but play was suspended at 2:47 Eastern Time because of heavy rains. Friday, the match play completed the round of 64. That was down then to 32. On Saturday morning, round 2, the 32 was reduced to 16 players. Round 3, the 16 was reduced to 8 players Saturday afternoon. Yesterday afternoon, the quarterfinals got it down to 4 players, and the semifinals in the afternoon produced Tom Shearer and Justin Leonard, who are now playing 36 holes for the championship. We are now on the 26th hole.
That's Mr. and Mrs. Leonard from Dallas, Texas. Flew in to join their son today. And at least what right now appears to be an amateur championship.
His old dad.
You wonder who's more nervous right now, Jack.
You know Dad is.
Yeah, because he can't do anything but
can't
watch.
do a thing.
Dad's a clinical pathologist. Watch out.
Oh, my. Was that lovely? Ooh. All right, Tom Shearer with a chance now to eat away at this lead. For birdie 2.
Shearer was a semifinalist in this tournament 2 years ago, won the North-South also in 1990. Then his game really kind of disappeared for a while. He was no factor on the amateur circuit, had a so-so year at Chapel Hill. He's actually dropped out of school. Will not be going back to Chapel Hill for his senior year. Did so with the thought of turning pro, and now that the invitations, which will go with even if he's a runner-up here, a number of invitations will come his way, most likely the Walker Cup again.
Yes. 32 for Shear, and it goes now to 6 up for Justin Leonard. Well, we have a moment here as they walk to the 9th tee. Here's Edgar Sneed.
Mr. and Mrs. Leonard, you must be mighty proud of your son. I know he's a fine young man. You must be awfully excited right now.
It's been a great week. We're very proud of Justin and his accomplishments this week.
Mom, how are you holding up under all this pressure?
I mean, it's a beautiful golf course, and I mean, it's the amateur. Everybody'd like to be here. We're thrilled.
Not much else you can say. Back to you, Jack.
Okay, Edgar, thank you. And there is Justin.
Jack, I'm amazed at how composed this young man is at age 20. Here's a look at the 9th hole. Once again, carved out of the trees here at Muirfield Village. Very demanding driving hole, which really you have to put your tee shot in play for this difficult second, which is played across the creek, which fronts this rather shallow green with bunkers back left, front left, and back right. Flagstick cut just over that front left bunker on the left-hand side. Very little green to work with on the far left.
That really makes the green shiny, doesn't it? Tom Shearer from a win at 8. Old-fashioned driver.
He has started that ball down the right center. Looks like he hit it very solidly.
I don't know what kind of a lie he has there, whether it's a side hiller, but it's in the middle of the fairway.
Well, again, I've said a couple of times this week, I think some of the players make the mistake of laying back here, and I think this is a hole where you take a little more risk off the tee and you get a greater reward on your second shot.
Tees the ball very high, but has a flat trajectory. So he squares the club face up with his body, not his hands. And this is impressive.
Right past Shearer. So we're in the finals of the United States Amateur Golf Championship, and we'll be back with the rest of the action in just a moment. Here's a look at Walker Cup golfer David Eager, who compiled an enviable record as an amateur in recent years and played again this week. He lost to a friend and former amateur champion Jay Siegel in the first round of match play. And now the same David Eager is in his new job as USGA Executive Director of Rules and Competitions, which means he's largely responsible for the setup of USGA championship courses. His new USGA employers told David to use his Walker Cup exemption to play this week. One last fling on the highest level of amateur golf. 9th fairway. Well, I guess they have a level lie at that. From our camera angle, Ed, it looked like they might be on a side hiller there.
No doubt, Jack. They've hit two beautiful drives here. Justin Leonard has hit the longer of the two drives, but they're in such good position. They're both on the right side of the fairway. Flag today is cut on the left side of the green, so I think they have nice short iron shots and the ideal angle from which to play.
It does reduce the size of this green, that whole position today, doesn't it?
Well, this is not a huge green to begin with, and coming in over the water, which is so close to the edge of the green, if you have a middle or a long iron, I think the water is very much in play. If you can get it down here for an 8 or 9 iron to the green, you essentially take the water out of play.
Let me ask Frank Hannigan, do they on this have 6 medium positions, 6 difficult and 6 easy, or?
Well, they try to do balancing, Jack. They can't do 3, 3, and 3 because the darn event is so long. It's 6 days. But in general, the philosophy is not to make the golf course any more difficult one more day than another.
Thomas Shearer has just under 150 yards to the hole, playing downhill, maybe slightly downwind, probably just a 9-iron. Perfect distance. I heard him say blow wind. I think he thought the wind was going to blow the ball to the left. It appears that way from looking at the flag. Justin Leonard, just 130 yards. I'm sure he's just going to hit a good firm pitching wedge here coming down this hill. He has been relentless, Jack. Just at every turn when it looks as though Thomas Shearer may be hoping for a chink in the armor, so to speak, he just sticks it right by the hole.
Oh, brilliant shot again. All right, Frank Hannigan had a chance to talk with young Tom Shearer a little bit ago.
You grew up in the frigid north, don't you? You still live there. Well, tell us about that.
Skinny House is a small town. It's a finger lake. It's in between Syracuse and Rochester, a little closer to Syracuse. You can't play golf in the winter, so I played hockey and golf.
Hockey and golf.
He told me, Jack, he had a chance to go to college and play hockey. He wouldn't have chosen Chapel Hill, but I wonder sometimes if what would have happened with his career had he chosen to play hockey instead.
Probably have a broken nose. It's amazing how many hockey players play very good golf, though.
Yes, it is. Well, we watched Alan Doyle, who said he was a hockey player as a youth, as was Thomas Shearer here. Thomas's swing reminds me a lot of Rocco Mediate. It's a nice, comfortable, easy flowing swing, built a little bit like Rocco.
The 9th green here with that creek, the meanders in front, and then over the right side there's the halfway house, a very lovely place with the little patio there to sit, and some big carp in that water, or whatever they are. I think they're carp. They're the biggest goldfish I've ever seen.
White amour, I think they're called officially.
Both of these men on the 9th green beautifully, but Justin right up close.
If you're Tom Shearer, you must think that Leonard's going to make his putt for birdie the way he's been putting lately. So he just almost has to make it, or he'll find himself 7 down with 9 to play.
I know he must have holed a few long putts in his previous matches as easily as he won some of them, but I haven't seen him hole a long putt today. He's hit some very, very good iron shots. In fact, he's been inside Justin Leonard on 5 or 6 of the holes here on the front 9, but he just hasn't made any long ones. This putt should just go a little bit to his left.
It's good, but not good enough.
Leaving Justin another opportunity to go 7 up. Starting to talk to himself now.
Pay careful attention as Justin Leonard prepares to putt. He has the most unusual putting routine. He takes an exact number of practice strokes each time, 5 to be exact. Steps away, relooks the line, steps back over it, and without a practice stroke, putts. It seems to take a long time. And all right, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Step away.
Set this to music.
One hand on the already very short 32-inch putter. Chokes down on it.
There it is. The anatomy of a birdie. Beautiful. Woo, 7 up.
When you hit the ball as close to the hole as he has, you're going to make, you can't help but make 2 or 3 birdies a 9 if you could do that all the time. He's just playing marvelous golf.
All right, 9 holes finished here in this final round of this amateur championship, and we'll be back with whatever is ahead in just a moment. We are back for this final match in the 92nd United States Amateur Championship. 10th tee, Justin Leonard leading 7 up. 9 holes to play.
$20 out of 21 fairways today. Make it 21 out of 22.
Be interesting, Steve, to figure out how many of those 21 are right in the center of the fairway. I mean, most of his tee shots have been really in the center of the fairway. Remarkable driving.
Scherer, no slouch off the tee, which by his own admission has been his weakness. 16 out of 21 fairways thus far.
He has played a very good round this afternoon. He did not play well this morning. He was 3 over. Not all that bad. You wouldn't expect necessarily to be 5 down, but he's played very well this afternoon. Put it in the fairway, did not appear to be very solid. Has a long shot to this green, but safely in the fairway.
Tenth hole is a very long and difficult uphill par 4.
That's I guess you'd call it a broad-shouldered par 4, Jack. It's a big hole from the tee. Generous landing area, and the second shot usually with a long iron, so a very generous green in terms of size, but that yawning bunker to the right and bunker left makes picking the second shot a problem.
How deep is how's the depth of that trap on the right there by the green? My goodness, it must be 15
huge,
yards.
more picturesque than anything else. The flagstick back left today.
Well, while we wait for them to approach their shot, here's the swing of Thomas Scherer.
It's a golf swing that has a pretty good grip. Strong left hand, strong right hand, but a golf swing that reminds me a lot of Rocco Mediate. Takes the club back with a big, wide arc. There's a lot of width in his swing here. Moves into the right side and then releases the club very nicely from behind. Very functional swing. Now down the target line, sets up very good. Reaches for the ball at addressed. Has an excellent plane going back. Club head in good position at the top. Drops it back to the inside on the forward swing. Very easy swing to repeat.
All right, let's take a look at how Justin Leonard, Steve, got through the field here.
Well, he fired 2 fine rounds in the medal play competition to post score of 142. He beat Grigorski in his first match, 2 up, went to the 18th hole. On Saturday, he beat Brian Gay, a young man that many thought might have a chance to win here, beat him handily 5-4. Then Robert Hughes was the next victim. He lost 4-3. Yesterday on Sunday, a great match with David White from Arkansas. At one time, Justin Leonard was 4 down after 9 holes, came back with 5 birdies on the backside to win 2-1. And then what I think was the match of the tournament, Jack, was a great match against Walker Cup veteran Alan Doyle. It was nip and tuck all the way, but Leonard played beautifully, birdied the 17th hole to win 2-1.
And here he is now, 7 up as he walks up the fairway at the 10th hole. 28th hole of this match.
Well, the largest margin of victory since this tournament went back to match play in 1974 was 9-8.
Reg Murphy, the USGA Vice President and Chairman of the Championship Committee.
One of the few people that turned down a golf game with George Bush, I understand.
Well, how did that happen?
He was getting married. George invited him to play golf on his wedding day. He had to say, "Excuse me, Mr. President, I'm getting married. I can't make my golf game with you."
Well, I've heard some silly excuses in my time.
Well, as Thomas Shearer prepares to play this shot, he's 203 yards from the hole. Wind coming from his left and slightly against him. Probably needs a 3-iron to get back to the flagstick. He has hit this ball very high and left it well out to the right and into the bunker. Steve, you know, you pointed on something a moment ago. I really think you're right. I don't think he has handled the greens nearly as well as Justin Leonard. He has hit some good shots, but when he's hit the ball close, he hasn't taken advantage of it, and he's 3-putted a few times, a couple of times from positions that I don't really think you should 3-putt.
Well, that is a leaf here at the 10th green. That can be removed. 23 out of 27 greens. It's just been a dominating tee to green round of golf the entire day.
Tour de force.
Plays the ball well back in his stance, too.
Just about 180. It's a nice 4-iron against the wind. Maybe a hard 5.
We're back at the 92nd United States Amateur Championship, the final match between Justin Leonard and Tom Shearer, and we'd like to tell our viewers that due to our special presentation of this event, Global Super Card Wrestling will not be seen today, but it will return tomorrow at its regularly scheduled time of 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So Justin Leonard safely on again here at this 10th green while his opponent is in the bunker.
Jackie has a very long bunker shot. Not as hard as the one that he had on the 7th hole. He's close enough that I think with the firm sand, as I said, it usually is firm here at Muirfield. He can play about 30 or 35 yards.
Very nice.
Very nice shot. It didn't release quite as much as I think he probably wanted. There's been a lot of talk this week about the golf course being a little shorter for this U.S. Amateur than it is normally for the players in the Memorial Tournament, but the only difference I've noticed is the number on the scorecards. The tees have been virtually in the same place. I think the United States Golf Association has picked a few hole locations that are not some of the ones used in the Memorial Tournament, but the course has been set up beautifully.
Just over 7,000 yards for the contestants this week. We've had rain early in the week. Players have not gotten much roll in the fairway.
Again, Steve, the only thing I notice is the numbers on the scorecard. The tee markers seem to be exactly in the same place.
That's Reg Murphy with the official score.
I think another thing that should be pointed out, you know, this young man, Justin Leonard, is 4 under par today through 27 holes. And remember, this is the third day in a row he has played 36 holes. People can't respect the grueling aspect of the U.S. Amateur. To play this kind of golf after playing so much, it's a lot of pressure. And it's amazing, I think, on a course of this difficulty.
Rather difficult walking course. Stamina is certainly a requisite of this championship, isn't it?
Well, I think it was Ed Snead that pointed out it's a mile between greens and tees here.
There's the 5. Another look.
Certainly demonstrates a maturity far beyond his 20 years.
And Tom conceded that to him. So Shearer facing this putt for a halve.
And should he miss, would be Dormy.
He does, so 8 down with 8 holes to play.
Mr. Leonard 4, Mr. Shearer 5. Mr. Leonard is Dormy.
It's a great term. I don't think Tom Shearer thinks it's a great term, but it's a great term in golf. Dormy.
From the French to sleep, isn't it? If Justin Leonard halves a hole, the match is finished.
Well, Steve, this is no surprise.
Straight down the middle.
No surprise whatsoever, just like every other tee shot he's hit today.
There's the hole cut today on the left side. Tom Shearer.
That's a very solid tee shot. Looks long down the right-hand side.
Once again, though, Leonard putting on the pressure, not making any mistakes, keeping the ball in play. What a finish this will be to Justin Leonard's summer campaign. There's a graphic look at the 11th. Number of creeks flowing through this property, which really enhance the beauty here at Muirfield Village. Well, we've talked about how well he's played. Let's take a look at his swing. Very, very strong grip. Strong left hand, strong right hand. More importantly, his golf swing matches his grip. You can have a bad grip if you have a swing that matches it. That's what he has. Squares the club face up with the rotation of the body, not his hands. Unusual swing for this young man at 20 years old. On playing going back, tends to be on the shut side at the top of his swing. Reroutes it back to the inside. Once again, squares it up with the turning of the body. Paul Azinger is criticized for having a bad grip, but his swing matches his grip. As a result, one of the best ball strikers on tour. Certainly this grip not as bad as Azinger's, but certainly tends to on the very strong side.
Well, a lot of people using strong grips now, aren't they, Steve?
Well, I think probably Justin was small as a child, had a strong grip to try to get some extra distance playing a hook.
The idea is to have both hands working together as one, isn't it?
Palms facing, ideally, Jack. Well, you have an excellent grip. I've seen your act.
All right, second shot.
Looks as though he's taken a 3-iron. Very solid shot, headed right toward the center of the fairway. Should just leave probably a full pitching wedge to this hole. Steve, I like those strong grips. I don't think that that's a bad grip at all. The fact that he does grip the club that way allows him to swing the club and turn it with his body rather than his hands. I think it allows him to take the hand action out of the swing.
Easy way to play.
Thomas Shearer has laid the ball up, or is going to lay the ball up. Just needed another 10 or 15 yards to go at this green. Hit it very fat. Looked like the ball was sitting down. He was on the down slope, and it looked like the ball was sitting down. Did get across the creek all right, but he's going to have a rather long third shot.
All right, 11th hole here at the Muirfield for this final match, and we'll be back in just a moment. We are back in this final match of the U.S. Amateur Championship from Muirfield Village, and Tom Shearer 8 down, third shot at this par 5.
That's from 145 yards against the wind. Probably a little 7-iron, maybe a big 8. I'm shocked that that ball ran over the green. It looked like he struck it well, playing from a good lie in the fairway.
Here's the next hole, the beautiful 12th par 3 with that hole cut in a really tough position today. We may never see it unless Shearer can win this 11th hole. We will not get over here. Bank of flowers underneath the tee. Just thought we'd give you a look at it.
Tom Shearer would love to play the 12th.
Oh.
Justin Leonard has hit another good layup shot on this hole. I've noticed every day that I've watched him play, he has put the ball in the area here for just a nice wedge shot to this green. Again, getting back to that grip that he has, I think when you have your left hand in this position, it allows you to move very strongly with your body and sort of just hold the club square throughout the golf swing. This is a very simple golf swing.
Come back.
Right over top of the flag. Very good shot.
Well, there you saw Shearer's ball just move right through the green, and
he must have hit a hard
came
spot.
up and checked, huh?
He must have hit a hard spot.
Yeah.
I'm amazed. The ball looked like it was struck pretty well to me.
Already Justin Leonard this summer has won the Southern Amateur, the Western Amateur. I think the Western was probably the prelude to what was to come. He won the tournament, which is a combination stroke play, match play. Very difficult tournament to win. Probably second in importance to this amateur championship here, Jack.
Mm-hmm. And while we have a minute, let's eavesdrop on Frank Hannigan's conversation with this young man.
I assume you are an avid watcher of the PGA Tour on television. Who do you root for?
I root from the boys from Austin most of the time. Kite and Crenshaw. It was, I was in New York City, and I got to watch the last 9 holes of the U.S. Open. And Tom just did a super job, and a lot of people were pulling for him. And then when Ben won the Western, I think I pull for those two guys most of all.
So you know them because they attended the University of Texas and live in Austin, where you go to school?
Correct. I've met both of them. I've never gotten to play golf with them, but hopefully I'll get to someday.
Well, it appears that Mr. Leonard will get to be paired with Tom Kite.
At the
Kite
Masters,
being
and at the Open.
At the Open. Kite being the defending Open champion next year at Baltusrol. What a number of doors this amateur championship will open up for Mr. Leonard, should he go on to prevail here.
All right, Tom Shearer. Just about had to have that, too, to keep it going.
Well, that shot kind of sums up what's happened to him today.
That's exactly it, Steve. There were numerous times this morning and this afternoon, even at the second hole, where he just hit putts or shots like that that looked like they had to go in, and they didn't.
He thinks he's made it.
Darn right, I did, too.
That one last flicker of hope.
I must say, as you pointed out, Ed Snead, there's been nothing of the hangdog about Tom Shearer, though.
Not at all, Jack. He has just run into a buzzsaw today, as they say.
Two putts for the championship. Aha.
I think Mrs. Leonard's having a tough time here. Wonder how many junior tournaments she's watched, how many high school tournaments, how many college matches.
How many times has she driven him, huh?
It's more reward for them than perhaps this young man right now.
Well, he almost finished it with another birdie, but that is enough for the 92nd United States Amateur Championship. Justin Leonard defeating Tom Shearer 8-7.
Jack, I think clearly the best player in this field this week won this tournament.
Now Ed Snead's with the runner-up.
Tom, you ran into a player today that played flawless golf. I admired the way you played. You didn't hang your head. You fought to stay in there. It must be a letdown, but congratulations on your play. What are your thoughts right now?
Thank you. Justin played great. I have to hand it to him. I was proud of myself. I hung in there. Played okay. Didn't play the way I have been playing the last few days, but I gave it my best shot, and hats off to Justin.
Tell us a little bit about this grueling format and the 36 holes, 3 days in a row. You've had to play 8 rounds of golf or 9 rounds of golf. I mean, this is a tough tournament.
Yeah, we've been here since last Saturday. My dad had been caddying, but he got tired, and I had to give him the afternoon off. But it was fun. It's a grind. So.
What are your plans right now after this tournament? What are you going to do this fall?
I don't know. I'm going to have to sit down with my parents and decide. I've got the Masters, I guess. So it's going to be a tough decision.
Well, you're certainly in the record books now as the runner-up in the U.S. Amateur. And what will it mean to play at the Masters? Have you ever played Augusta? Have you ever been down there at all?
No, I've never. We played in the Augusta College tournament last year, right before the Masters, and it'd be a great honor if I do turn pro. Hopefully I'll get there someday, but I don't know at this time.
Are your plans immediately to remain an amateur through the Masters, or are you going to stay long enough to play there?
If I do stay amateur, I will stay amateur, or play at the Masters. If I decide to turn pro, I'll do it tomorrow, probably.
Well, Thomas, congratulations on a great championship. I know right now you're probably a little bit down, but you were You were beaten by a great player, and it could have been yours maybe on another day. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now let's go back to Jack Whitaker.
All right, Edgar, thank you. There's the trophy, and we'll have the trophy presentation for you when we return here to Muirfield Village Golf Club in Dublin, Ohio. Next year, the Amateur Championship will be played in Texas at the Champions Golf Club, which was the creation of two great players and friends, the late Jimmy DeMeritt and Jackie Burke. It will mark the 93rd playing of the Amateur Championship, but oddly, the first time it's played in Texas. There have been but two amateur champions who came out of Texas, Billy Maxwell, who won in 1951, and Scott Verplank, the 1984 champion. And now we are back down here on the 11th green at Muirfield Village. Justin Leonard has just defeated Tom Shearer 8-7 for the Amateur Championship, and we'll take you now to Reg Murphy, chairman of the Championship Committee of the USGA and a vice president. Reg?
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the 1992 United States Amateur Championship, Mr. Justin Leonard.
Justin Leonard, I don't think we can say enough about your play here this week, especially today. It was marvelous golf. You must be just thrilled right now.
Having trouble talking. It's, you know, this is beyond what I ever expected. And I'm just really thankful for everything, and I had a great time today.
I know that this is an emotional time for you. I saw your parents today. We talked to them earlier today. Your mom and dad are so proud of you, I know. Tell us a little bit about how they've influenced your golf career.
They've been very supportive always, and they always let me have a part in the decision making, which I think has helped me a great deal, and I owe it all to them.
Well, I know, try to think a little bit about what this is going to mean besides winning the premier amateur tournament in the world. Definitely, I think the U.S. Amateur. You're going to get to play in the Masters. You're exempt for the Open. I mean, this certainly opens a lot of doors for you in tournament golf.
Yeah, I've got a lot of new opportunities waiting for me, and, you know, it's just time to kind of let it soak in and just enjoy it.
You've had a wonderful summer. Can you reflect on your play a little bit? Your play here was marvelous. I've watched the Memorial Tournament here, and you played as well as I think the players that are in contention and winning this event. Certainly today you did.
Well, I'm not so sure about that, but I feel like except for 1 week, I've been playing really well through about April. And you know, I feel like I had a lot of control today over all my shots, and everything felt really good.
Well, with the traditional pairings in the United States Open, you're going to play with a good friend of yours next year, the 1992 U.S. Open champion, Tom Kite. How do you feel about that?
Well, Tom was out this morning, and Tom Shearer and I were talking about, you know, whoever won got to play with Tom, and so that was in the back of my mind a little bit. And I've never played golf with him, but supposedly we have plans to play in a couple weeks, and that'll be a great thrill.
Well, you've certainly played a wonderful tournament. Our congratulations to you and continued success.
Thank you very much.
And I'd like to introduce Reg Murphy again, who's going to have another announcement for us. Reg?
I guess the most important announcement for all of you is that both Justin Leonard and Tom Shearer have been selected to the men's team for the World Amateur Team Championship. As you, good for you. As you know, Justin was the winner today. You also know that he was the 1992 Western Amateur Champion. He also won the Southwest Conference Individual Championship. Tom Shearer was our runner-up today in the Amateur Championship. And as you probably recall, he was a member of the 1992 United States Walker Cup team, and he's advanced to match play in each of the last 3 amateur championships. In addition to him, the other 2 members are Alan Doyle of LaGrange, Georgia, who for the second time was selected for participation on the World Amateur team and a semifinalist in the 92 U.S. Amateur and a member of the Walker Cup team, and David Duval of Atlanta, who has been selected for the 3rd time to represent the United States in international competition, won Walker Cup, and this is his 2nd World Amateur team selection. He also was the medalist for our championship here. The alternates are Jay Siegel of Berwyn, Pennsylvania, and John Harris of Edina, Minnesota. In the women's events, the World Women's Amateur Team Championship, which will be held in Vancouver September 24-27, the team members are Sarah LeBrun Ingram, a member of the 1992 United States Curtis Cup team, and the winner of the 1992 Broadmoor Invitational, Vicki Getz, the 1992 United States Women's Amateur Champion, a member of the 1990 and 1992 Curtis Cup teams. This is the 2nd time she's been chosen to represent her country in the World Amateur Team Championships. And Carol Simple Thompson, the 4th time for Carol Thompson to play for the United States in the World Amateur Team Championships, and she was also a member of the 92 Curtis Cup team and a semifinalist in the 1992 Women's Amateur.
Thank you very much, Reg. I'm sure we'll all looking forward to having these players represent the United States. And now let's go back to Jack Whitaker.
All right, Edgar, thank you very much as we look at the new United States Amateur Champion, Justin Leonard from the University of Texas, in a brilliant display here all week long, winning the final 8-7 over Tom Shear. And we'll be right back here to Muirfield Village Golf Club in just a moment.